Metrics drive decisions, but are we tracking the right ones? On today's panel episode, I'm asking brand-side retail media leaders about the new metrics they're embracing, and their answers might surprise you. One leader challenges the very premise of seeking out new metrics, arguing that we already have enough, and that it's about choosing the most appropriate one for each campaign objective. Another of our panelists is waging war against ROAS tunnel vision, shifting focus to customer-level metrics that tell a more complete story. And finally, you'll hear how one team is expanding beyond traditional digital metrics to track omnichannel impact, measuring digital's contribution to total business growth. Whether you're drowning in dashboards or searching for better performance indicators, this conversation cuts through the noise to focus on what really matters. Let's dive in. Good morning and welcome to the Retail Media Breakfast Club. I'm your host, Kiri Masters, and every weekday at 6 a.m. Eastern, I bring you candid and real discussions in the world of retail media and marketplaces in just 10 minutes. So bring your own cup of coffee and we'll get smarter about retail media together. Now let's hear from Josh Clarkson, Global Lead for Retail Media at Mars and Chief Consultant at Edify Digital Commerce Consulting.
I like when you ask people this on the podcast because I think we've got enough metrics. I think everyone always lists good ones, but I don't have any new ones. My main focus in retail media is that whatever the campaign objective is, whatever part of the proverbial marketing funnel a campaign's trying to drive, that we just use the appropriate metrics. And I find it silly how often, we'll be working with a retail media network, say we're doing some offsite awareness campaigns, and the metrics used are things like ROAS, which is not what you'd use for any other kind of awareness campaign. Or you might be doing on-site conversion tactics, and then they're telling me about CPMs and reach. It doesn't really make sense. So there's enough metrics out there to actively measure retail media at different stages. But I think using the appropriate ones for what your campaign objective is, that's the really important piece.
Now let's hear from Todd Weagent, Director of Sales at Masimo.
I would say the biggest thing around metrics tracking is the decision to consciously track different metrics depending upon the objective that we're trying to achieve and the goal we're trying to achieve. The internally, we've had to do a fair amount of fighting to resist the urge to say ROAS is our metric that we're going to measure on everything. For example, certain campaigns, we expect a low ROAS, but what are we trying to get at? Are we trying to get to new to brand or what other things? And so it's literally not just, we're looking at this now. It's no, depending upon what we're doing and challenge the team, we may have 6 different things we're looking at depending upon what we're trying to get done. And that's a shift that hasn't been an easy one, especially with the finance team.
Now let's hear from Julie Liu, Director of Digital Commerce at Ghirardelli Chocolate Company.
New metric. Okay, so there's a few, but they are all from the omnichannel lens. So some of the feedback that I received recently over the past year internally was, okay, it's great to see the strong digital performance, but what does that mean from the total company perspective? And so every time my team that we're talking about Walmart metrics or Target.com metrics or Kroger, Instacart, we always make sure that we're putting it in the lens of what's happening at the total account level. So we're looking at things like year-over-year dollar growth for in-store and online. We are looking at digital penetration and the change versus last year. And then we're also looking at the share of incremental dollar growth that digital is contributing to the total account. So the newer metric is just, not necessarily anything new per se, but more so just making sure that we're framing up the metrics from an omni-channel lens so that we can provide more visibility into how digital is impacting the total account or even the total company.
Well, that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Retail Media Breakfast Club. We meet here every day at 6 a.m. Eastern. So be sure to subscribe and get your daily dose of insights, trends, and hot takes in the world of retail media and marketplaces.